Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. Also, carrikerchronicles.com. It's where all your Husker sports hopes and dreams will come true. It's just science, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you believe the last month of the season, the last 4 games of Nebraska's regular season after watching Nebraska play on Saturday could be a wild ride. And keep in mind, the Huskers opened as a 9.5-point favorite over UCLA in their 14th meeting that's coming up. But if you believe this last month could be a wild ride, smash that like button. All right, if you believe the Huskers are going to beat the Bruins on Saturday and become bowl eligible, hit that like button. As always, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you don't miss anything we're putting out here on the Carriker Chronicles. If you missed my gut reaction on Saturday, I had 21 pages of notes. There's 13 here today. I had 21 pages of notes for my gut reaction Saturday, the most I've ever had for any single gut reaction. Also, as always, putting out shows on Tuesday, and I'm thinking Thursday morning, nice and early Thursday morning UCLA prediction this week. All right, this show is about Marcus Satterfield's play calling, just how god-awful the reffing is. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not just Nebraska. It's not even just the Big Ten, and I'll give you examples later on, and just how important those last 4 games of the season are. And the 4 teams that we're going to play actually have a combined losing record, which I did not know until I did some research. But real quick, you know what? Before I dive into Marcus Satterfield's play calling, if you watch the first 3 to 4 minutes of Matt Rule's post-game press conference, if you haven't, go check it out. But here's the deal. He's talked about a lot of things. He talked about how he doesn't like moral victories, but he's proud of the team. How this was basically the darkest week, and I'm paraphrasing, he's had, and the program has had since he got here this past week after the Indiana game, but he knew they'd be better for it. Okay, because of his past experiences, he knew it would ultimately be a good thing. He talked about how he's proud of the effort. You want to win. You play to win the game, but he's proud of the effort that they had against Ohio State, but he wants to see it again against UCLA. Okay, he talked about how he's never had anything handed to him, and if you're someone who hasn't had anything handed to you either, then you understand building things the right way sometimes takes a bit longer, and there's a process to it. I just wanted to offer my quick thoughts on that. Now, when it comes to Marcus Satterfield, the offense, play calling, all right, I'm actually going to start with defense, special teams, and then circle back around. The defense played well enough to win. They held Ohio State to a season low in yards and points. 43.5 points per game is what the Buckeyes averaged. 21 on Saturday is what the Black Shirts allowed. Ohio State was averaging 503 yards per game. They were held to 285 on Saturday. All right, this is the most talented backfield in America. I already talked about that in my gut reaction that the Buckeyes have. They averaged 208 rush yards per game versus the Black Shirts Saturday, 64. Total rush yards and a season low 2.1 yards per carry. All right, our special teams, awful start, but we found a field goal kicker, ladies and gentlemen. The newly dubbed Mr. Automatic, John Hall, his 54-yard field goal. Just a reminder, Mr. Automatic was 3 of 3 on Saturday. I hope that nickname doesn't come back to bite us, but we got to have fun in the process. But his 54-yard field goal on Saturday tied a Nebraska school record for longest made field goal in a road game. Now, the offense, for example, did some things, okay, but they also started 2 drives, just as a quick example, inside of Ohio State territory in the third quarter alone. All right, at the Buckeyes 7-yard line after Malcolm Hartzog's interception and came away with 0 points. The Black Shirts forced a 3-and-out. Ohio State gets the ball at the 1. The Black Shirts forced a 3-and-out punt. The Huskers' next drive starts at the Ohio State 42-yard line. In 4 plays, they gained 3 yards. All right. 2 third-quarter drives, back-to-back, Nebraska started in Buckeye territory, and in 8 plays on those 2 drives, we gained 9 total yards. Most importantly, 0 points. Just a reminder, the Buckeyes' offense in the third quarter started with the ball, yet didn't get a single first down the entire quarter and ran 7 plays for 15 yards. Like, the defense played well enough, the special teams played well enough. We need more out of the offense is what I'm getting at. The difference, okay, for Ohio State versus Nebraska was the field position yards. Neither offense played well, but Ohio State didn't have a single drive that started outside of their 21-yard line in the third quarter. They had drives that started at the 21, 20, 19, and their own 1-yard line, including a drive, okay, that started at their own 1-yard line, while Nebraska had 2 drives, the ones I just mentioned, I just specifically detailed, that started on average at Ohio State's 21.5-yard line. So Ohio State Okay, their best starting field position in the third quarter was 21 yards. They had 79 yards to go. Their own 21-yard line, 79 yards to go. Meanwhile, Nebraska's average in those two drives I detailed specifically where we got a combined 9 yards, 0 points, started at Ohio State's 21.5-yard line, only 21.5 yards to go, and, well, you know what happened, okay? So this is some of the frustration that I have, the Husker fans have, and that's why this topic is brought up. Now, I'm proud of how our team played, but you're only as strong as your weakest link. On Saturday, I felt like I was watching the college football version of Rocky. Okay, Rocky versus Ivan Drago. I've been compared to him a few times in my life. If he dies, he dies. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've been asked to say that a few times, but I digress. But you're only as strong as your weakest link is what I'm getting at. Like, for example, if I'm Ohio State and I'm looking ahead to going to number 3 in the country, or number 2, whatever they are, I don't know what the new AP poll is as I'm recording it. This video is just yet. Undefeated Penn State, Happy Valley on the road. If I'm Ohio State, I'm pretty concerned that our left tackle, which was a gigantic issue for them on Saturday, kudos to our D-line, may single-handedly cost us the game. All right, that's their weak link right now. But as for Marcus Satterfield, I haven't said much since he got hired because I always like to give people time to show what they can do, prove themselves, give them the benefit of the doubt, things of that nature. I wanted to give him a chance. But before he got here, really outside of 4 games, I wasn't quite entirely sure, what he had done to why he was hired. Okay, I'm trying to say this respectfully, but honestly, I didn't really understand why he was hired. Now, here's why he was hired. He's coached with Rule for 6 years prior to him coming to Nebraska. 3 years at Temple, 2 years at Baylor, 1 year with the Carolina Panthers. So clearly Rule knows what he's getting. But it didn't seem like a good sign to me when Satterfield was hired here in South Carolina. Fans were kind of celebrating that he was coming here. But still, I haven't said a lot up until today, just little things here and there. I talked about identity. I talked about various things, but nothing too specific. First things first. Anytime I want to go from point A, like just in life, anytime I want to go from point A to point B, all right, the first thing I know I want to do is I want to go sideways as many times as possible going from point A to point B. All right, as much as I possibly can, let's go sideways. I know the quickest way between 2 points is going laterally as much as possible, as opposed to going vertically straight ahead. I hope you're catching my sarcasm. Seriously though, Oregon torched, and I know we're not Oregon, but Oregon torched Ohio State over the top. Listen to this stat. They torched Ohio State over the top for 8 plays of 20 yards or more, and they were all passes. Again, I know we're not Oregon, but a lot of them came against preseason All-American Denzel Burke, who has really struggled this year. This is where you ignore the hype and you watch a guy on film and see how you can exploit him. That's what Oregon did. That's what I was kind of hoping we would try to do, and maybe we did a couple times, I don't know. So after seeing that, Ohio State's last defensive performance, getting burned over the top, 8 pass plays of 20 yards or more, what did we do? We ran like 87 screens and sideways passes. I know we don't have burners at wide receiver, but we have 2 guys who are 6'4", 220 pounds. So why not give them a shot to go up and make plays in one-on-one situations? They got a chance to catch the ball in a little bit of traffic, not bad throws or bad decisions, but why don't we give them more opportunities to make plays in one-on-one type situations, them versus the corner? The average college defensive back is under 6 foot tall. Our average starting wide receiver is 6'4", 220 pounds. So why don't we ever take advantage of that just a little bit more frequently? Also, we do actually have 2 burners on this team, Ja'Cory Barney and Jalen Lloyd, who's a multi-time state champion in track, I might add. So why don't we take advantage of some of those things a little bit more often rather than the lateral screen game? All right, what do we do instead? Let's trust our not so good perimeter blocking and run screen pass after screen pass after screen pass. Ladies and gentlemen, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And I don't know what the definition of bad coaching is, but the definition of bad coaching could be, hey, we're going to publicly say we're not great at perimeter blocking, so we're going to go on the road in Columbus against Ohio State, and we're going to depend on our perimeter blocking via the screen game over and over. That just doesn't seem like, a great approach to me. All right, unfortunately, I think Marcus Satterfield really hurt himself at that press conference last week when he talked about, I have to buy into running the ball more and things of that nature. Like, wasn't this just his 20th game he called here at Nebraska in the Big Ten Conference, and we're just now kind of getting to that point? I didn't think that was great. All right, obviously he didn't know the answer to the yards per play thing, but that doesn't have to be at the top of his priority list. Like, even Matt Rule did what he should do. He backed his guy publicly. Hopefully he's holding him accountable privately. Okay, by the way, not bad marriage advice, but I digress. It doesn't have to be at the top of Marcus Satterfield's priority list to know the average yards per play, but it should be somewhere on that list. Even if it's at the bottom, it should be somewhere on that list. It just goes along with being educated and prepared. Like Deshaun Foster, I had an argument with somebody last summer. Deshaun Foster bombed at Big Ten Media Days, just did awful. They're like, what's that have to do with coaching? I'm like, it comes with understanding what comes with the job and being prepared. You don't have to be an expert in everything, but UCLA's really struggled this year. It's his first year, give him time. Okay, this guy actually won an award at the Carolina Panthers for the amount of film that he watched. I didn't even know they gave those awards away. So I have no doubt he'll be a good coach, maybe. But when you come unprepared like that, regardless of how it relates to your job, it shows signs of how prepared you're going to be for things that actually relate directly to your job, and that can be a little bit concerning. The other thing is, Satterfield looked like a deer in the headlights when he was answering the question, and then he started asking reporters for help. Never do that. Just never do that. Okay, on the run game, specifically, because he talked about running the ball more, things of that nature. Some of the stuff I've mentioned before, but here we go. The first 5 games, we ran the ball 52% of the time, passed at 48, averaged 3.9 yards per carry. Next game versus Rutgers, we ran the ball 60% of the time, averaged 2.4 yards per carry. Next game versus Indiana, we ran the ball 39% of the time, almost 2-to-1. We passed the ball over the amount of times we ran it and averaged 2.4 yards per carry. Versus Ohio State, it was exactly 50-50 run-pass ratio, 33 runs, 33 passes, and we averaged 3.7 yards per carry. Not quite where we'd like to be, but at least better, I guess. I will say this, you know what was working? Quarterback runs. And a lot of it was on scrambles because they were running man defense quite a bit of the time. But it caused Ohio State problems because nobody expects us to do it. And this offense needs as much help as it can get right now, trying to be as dynamic as it can be at the moment. So Dylan Raiola doesn't move too bad. And I'm not saying run read option all the time or whatever the case may be. We have a guy on the team, by the way, that can do that, especially in certain situations, just saying, but just having it as a wrinkle will keep defenses off balance. And having wrinkles, if you do use Harburg in certain situations, he can have his own package that presents issues for defenses that they now have to present for. This offense just needs all the help that they can get. As for screens and lateral passes, here are some stats for you. Dylan Raiola completed 21 passes, 8 of them, 38% of them, nearly 40% of his passes went for no gain or a loss of yards on Saturday. Pause for effect. Just think about that. One more stat. Ohio State's average yards per pass was 13.8. Nebraska's average yards per pass was 4.6. And at halftime, it was 2.7. So that means in the first half, in order to get a first down, just throwing the ball, we'd have to complete 4 consecutive passes in a row. In the second half, in order to get a first down, we'd have to complete 3 consecutive passes in a row. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Final thoughts on Marcus Satterfield here in a second. All right, but I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. They are your concrete retaining wall experts. If this is the type of work you need done, boom, dpsconstruction.net. If this is the line of work you do, Jason Armstrong's the guy you want to work. Go to dpsconstruction.net. Also, Allen Capital Group. They've done my family's finances for over a decade. You have peace of mind when you know the people doing your finances are smart, intelligente, and they're trustworthy. They're going to help you grow your portfolio. They're also going to take care of you because they're genuine good people who genuinely care. They have offices in Omaha, Grand Island, Ogallala. Check them out at AllenCapGroup.com. That's ALLENCAP Group.com. Allen Capital Group, next level solutions for next level needs. Final thoughts, because I want to be clear. I'm not bashing Marcus Satterfield. Okay, I'm not complimenting him. I'm just presenting stats, facts, and then my opinion as I see it. Okay, facts don't care about feelings, but facts and stats add up to my opinion as well. I'm rooting for Marcus Satterfield actually to do really, really good. You want to know why? I want him to do well because if he's doing well, then Nebraska's doing well, and that's ultimately my goal. It's the same reason I root for Matt Rule. I have no problem, because a lot of people are calling for his job. I have no problem being the last guy to call for someone's job, but if you think back to, let's say, Frost, for example, if anyone remembers this, I also have no problem being the only person who will go there, because I was then, if you remember that. Now, Rule he said he doesn't do things with coaches during the season as far as letting them go or whatever the case may be. The first time something might happen, okay, might be after the UCLA game, before the USC game, during that bye week. Okay, by the way, we'd better beat UCLA, I'm just saying. If not, this is supposed to be a collaborative effort. If you think back to when Glenn Thomas was first hired, the co-offensive coordinator, by the way, the quarterback's coach, which Marcus Satterfield was a year ago, it's supposed to be a collaborative effort on this offense, okay? Marcus is calling the plays. If for some reason things don't go well versus UCLA, I wonder if they might give, maybe Glenn Thomas the bye week and a chance versus USC to start calling plays. Just try it out once. hopefully things just go well versus UCLA. I did forget to mention, okay, the black shirts held Ohio State, because this is an impressive stat and I don't want to leave it out, to a 10% conversion rate on third downs. That's insane. And my final thought on the offense, Dylan Raiola, the stats have not been as good for about the past 5 or 6 games in a row. I understand that competition's been tougher, but here's why I bring it up. Raiola does well, okay, but his last 3 games, 419 yards, 5 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, 1 fumble, 2 wide open TDs missed today. I've talked at nauseum about how much I love this kid and how much he won me over on Saturday. My point is, we need someone in charge who's going to develop him. That's all I'm saying. Whoever that person is needs to be the best person to develop our quarterback. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on to officiating. And here is a tweet that I put out on Thursday before the game Saturday. It said, in general, college football officiating is not good, but refs aren't even full-time employees. So who do we really blame? The refs who are making the actual calls, or the people making millions of dollars or billions, okay, off college football? You still want to nickel and dime the officiating. So I put that out before Saturday. All right, here's some other tweets we're going to put up. This is a Trojan football account. The game is completely rigged. Unbelievable. Big Ten doing everything they can to keep Nebraska out of it. Calls only going one way. That was during the Ohio State game. Ben Stevens works for Sports Grid, national college football type analyst. That was not ruled a first down for Nebraska. The play was not reviewed. The clock did not stop, and the Huskers had to burn their final timeout of the half. Officiating in college football is insane. That's when we got the first down, and the spot was horrible. They literally moved it backwards. You know what, Ange, my wife, go ahead and play that clip right now. All right, here's what David Pollack had to say about that clip. Is that the worst spot in the history of football? Husker football got the first down by at least a yard. I say 2. What the heck is going on? That spot was terrible. Here's another one. All right, if you're not watching Ohio State versus Nebraska, the ball was spotted a full yard short for the first down marker. Yes, the yellow line is accurate. ISU not. Just the most bizarre spot. Nebraska lost 3 to 4 plays at the end of the half because of this nonsense. That's from a Penn State fan. Larry the Cable Guy, hey, Big Ten, your officials suck. Even the announcers are baffled. Don't they have like a school or something, or do they just scan over the book of referees for dummies? I mean, the calls aren't even close. It's like watching the McDonald's late shift drive-through window, completely trying to count change. Oh, wow. David Pollack again. And now we have a controversial targeting call in the Ohio State-Nebraska game. Fans are pissed. What do you think they are doing now? Throwing bottles? I wonder where they got that idea. Husker Football Nation, give them a follow on Facebook. Win or lose, it's becoming painful to watch college football. The officiating is corrupt. They don't even hide it anymore. And I have to confirm this one. I saw this right before I recorded the show, but if it's true, wow. Remember that stat about not getting a holding call in our favor in 21 conference games? Here's an even worse one for you. Since Nebraska joined the Big Ten in 2011, when Nebraska plays on the road, league opponents have been called for holding on a pass play a combined total of 3 times over the years. 2011 Wisconsin, 2012 Northwestern, 2015 Minnesota. Those were a long time ago if true. And here are some non-calls that happened Saturday. We're going to go ahead and zoom in just in case you couldn't see. That was a non-defensive pass interference, non-defensive holding call because it wasn't called. All right, here's another one just in case that wasn't clear enough. That jersey isn't being torn off at all. Okay. And then here's a non-holding call on their offensive line. Great takedown, by the way. All right, here another non-holding call in the trenches on them. I must say, that's a great WWE move in the making. It either looks like a clothesline or a choke slam in the making. There were 2 offensive pass interference calls on us. I don't even feel like showing those, but they weren't right. The worst call of the day to me was when they literally moved the ball backwards on that spot. David Pollack, Ben Stevens, these are national college football guys who don't have a dog in this fight, and it's so blatantly obvious. All right, it's not just us though. Earlier in the season, okay, Josh Pate, who does a great job, national college football analyst. This was from earlier in the season, but I've never forgotten this segment, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Here's a 90-second clip of just god-awful officiating in college football in general. Roll the clip.
Because as it stands right now, no one has the slightest clue what the rules of football are. So yesterday, let me just roll through what happened yesterday. The Indiana-UCLA game. We got an edge player puts a perfect form tackle on Garbers, the quarterback there. No helmet to helmet. It's just called roughing the passer. Like this, he's not even passing. Blackledge pointed out, it's just a sack. Oregon, same thing. Giovanni McCoy, his throw is interrupted. His throwing hand hits the helmet of the defender. He doesn't tackle him to the ground. Nothing forcible. He's flagged, roughing the passer. This play in the Georgia game, Javon Walker put such a textbook hit on the quarterback, it should be teaching tape. Instead, it was flagged. Why? Well, because the quarterback fell hard, I guess. This was called targeting, and the helmet hit the dude in the butt. I don't really know what... I never thought those sentences would come out of my mouth, but they did. That right there, targeting, folks, targeting. Georgia, Kentucky again last night. There was face mask called on this play, and it was called on Kentucky. Do you understand what I just said? That right, Kentucky's guy was beheaded. And face mask was actually called elsewhere on the field. I was at this game yesterday. This is a pick six that changes the course of the game. And Nussmeier, no longer a quarterback, because once the ball's picked, he's not a quarterback, gets sought out, knocked down with someone's hands on his shoulder. And because he does a great job of acting there on the ground, he is flagged. There's a flag. That gets drawn back. The interception counts, but the points don't. It was a horrific day yesterday. I didn't even show you half of what we could show you.
The officiating is ruining the greatest sport under God's hot sun. You've got to do better. People are running out of patience. It's not acceptable. And a final thought on the Texas-Georgia, all the crap in the end zone thing. And then they overturn the call. Here's what I know, and here's what I wrote. People that are well-trained, talking about the referees, don't give in that easily to scrutiny. These guys are not being equipped enough. It's on them, and it's on the people who are supposed to be training them. I got some reactions to some national college football games that were big, college football games across the country that were big, and then Nebraska's last four games. Number 14, Texas A&M beats number 8 LSU 38-20. Freshman quarterback Marcel Reed comes in for the benched Connor Wegman, and this dude is electric. He's a game changer. Texas A&M's a top 10 team. Penn State beats Wisconsin 28-13. All right, backup quarterback. All right, Bo Pribula came in for Drew Aller and led the Nittany Lions, and he may be a better starting quarterback, with all due respect, than Drew Aller is. He may be their guy going forward. Number 1, Oregon beats number 20, Illinois, 38-9. Oregon has woken up. Dylan Gabriel, 3 first-half touchdown passes. He may be a Heisman contender now. Number 5, Texas, 27. Number 25, Vanderbilt, 24. Texas is good. I don't know if they're great. Also, respect to Vanderbilt. They have 3 losses to 2 teams who were number 1 at one point in time. Actually, they beat Bama. But I would keep them top 25. I said it. Why play a top 5 team within 3 points and then you get punished for it? That's all I'm saying. Number 15, Alabama blanks Missouri 34-0. Alabama's the most inconsistent team in the country, and Missouri is the second most disappointing team in the country. The most disappointing team in the country is Florida State, who lost to their big-time in-state rivals, Miami 36-14. Our Father who art in heaven, I just want to pray for Seminole Nation, because Lord knows they need it, and at least we're not them. Amen. All right, Nebraska's last 4 games. UCLA is 2-5. USC is 4-4. Wisconsin's 5-3. Iowa's 5-3. They have a combined record of 16-7. All 4 of these games are winnable. All 4 of these games are losable. All right, here's the deal. We're going to learn more about Nebraska this last month of the season than we did the first 8 games combined. I think it's going to be a wild ride. These games are huge. If we lose them all, we're 5-7. Could you imagine that? If we win them all, we're 9-3. Could you imagine that? I don't think either one's likely. We're either going to go 2-2 or 1-3. We're going to be 6-6 or 7-5. I don't know. I said 8-4. I'm stuck with it now. But jobs are going to be on the line, let's be honest, and big-time momentum going into a bowl game in the offseason as well. I'm just being real. These games are huge. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, check out CarrikerChronicles.com. It's where all your Husker sports hopes and dreams will come true. Send me fan questions. I've gotten some. I'm going to do better by getting back to you. I apologize. Here are my questions for you fine folks at home. All right, the number one pertains to a tweet that Dirk Chatelain put out. He said, as a program for more than a decade now, Nebraska is completely incapable of seizing an opportunity. It's freaking unbelievable. Do you agree with him? Let me know, yes or no. All right, next is via Mitch Sherman on Twitter. It's a quote from Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola, and I quote, "I couldn't be any more proud of where we're headed," end quote. Do you agree with Dylan? Yes or no? And number 3, another tweet that I got from a fan. This one just made me chuckle. All right, last week, we can't win another game. This week, we can win the rest of them. What a fan base we are. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to have fun with this, right? You love the passion. I love Husker Nation. My question for you is that how you felt, and is that how you feel? Let me know. Until next time, go Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the bird.